The way hunger strike gets talked about now is almost like it was always this big, obvious grunge moment that everybody understood the second they heard it, but that's not really how any of it went down. Chris Cornell put Temple the Dog together after Andrew Wood died. Andy had been his roommate and his friend, and the singer in Mother Love Bone. Cornell had some songs that didn't really fit Soundgarden, so he brought in Stone Gossard and Jeff Ament, the guys who had just lost their own bandmate, and put together Temple the Dog. And that part was real, it came out of actual grief, and it wasn't something anybody was trying to be clever about. The funny part of this, in the music business sense, is what happened after that. Stone said later there was no pressure on the record. The label wasn't hovering around the studio or anything. The band went in and made it fast, and nobody was really expecting it to turn into anything too big, which is probably why it sounds the way it does. It's loose and unforced, and it sounded like people who are actually dealing with something instead of trying to make a statement. But then Eddie Vedder shows up, and this is still early 1991. Eddie isn't a rock star yet. He's just the new guy from San Diego who got flown in to try out for the band that Stone, Jeff, and Mike McCready were putting together. And they were still in that Mookie Blaylock phase before they settled on the name Pearl Jam. And Chris Cornell said Eddie was just hanging around at the Temple the Dog rehearsal trying to work on Hunger Strike, and he had a vocal part he was working through, and Eddie just kind of fell into it. He sang it almost exactly the way Cornell had been hearing it in his head, and so that accident was something that they decided to keep. The record came out in April 1991, and it was good. It meant something to the people who made it, but commercially it didn't do much. And initially the band did make a video for Hunger Strike. Paul Rockman shot it out at Discovery Park. It was pretty low budget. It had rain and hail and the whole Seattle treatment, if you know what I mean. It was pretty much an insider thing at the time, and Cornell was the only really known name, but Eddie was just the tall guy with the low voice who looked like he knew lip syncing in a field was pretty ridiculous. And then Pearl Jam broke. Once that happened, the math changed. A&M looked at Temple the Dog, and they realized they already had a Chris Cornell song with the new Pearl Jam singer on it. So in 1992, they went back and re-edited the video, and the weirder and more conceptual shots got pulled. And they added more of Eddie and more performance, less of the stuff that didn't translate on MTV that well. And so that's the version that ended up in heavy rotation on Buzzbin. And yeah, that's how Hunger Strike became the thing people remember. The song itself was sincere, and the way Eddie ended up on it was real. The grief behind the record was also real, but the version that became a grunge landmark needed Pearl Jam blowing up in a recut video, and the music business finally showing up a year later once the moment was already happening for it to actually take off.